frankly helped them convince us to select us back in May. What these represent are, again from that time back in May, three kinds of ideas for this site. In each, the focus of our study is the block that we are on. So the empty space on this block, the City Hall building, and this building. On this drawing, this is City Hall, and this is the Corn Palace, and these are the blocks around. So what these are three different ideas that sort of show the possible scope. There's no commitment to any of this at this point. We're just gathering information, but we thought it would be helpful to share this with you just so you kind of see, you know, what the boundaries of our planning are going to be. So this one shows keeping both the City Hall and the Corn Palace and reorganizing them, remodeling the inside, and that becomes the new improved Corn Palace. This one keeps City Hall functioning as City Hall, but builds an addition behind it over in this corner that would expand the Corn Palace. But the existing building remains, probably as the arena in this case. And in this case, the City Hall is removed and an addition goes where it is located now, to the north. In between these options, there would be some other variations of how they're sited and so on, but that basically is the scope of our study. You'll also see on each of these sort of some big green areas, both to the west and to the south, and that's just a kind of a rough indication of the area that we wanted to look at for possible outdoor functions. And those could be anything from perhaps some more parking to this kind of play area that was that I mentioned earlier, to stage areas, to a big green park. So I hope that gives you a sense of the scope of our work. Again, it's 3 meetings. We hope to be done with our study about the end of this year and have a plan that comes out of that that can go to the decision makers in the city for their action and taking the next step. So with that, I think we could pose the 4 questions one at a time.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, now it's time to hear from all of you. Just to try to keep us on topic rather than hitting all of the questions for each individual person at one time, we thought it may be more convenient to take each individual question one at a time. Katie has a mobile microphone over here, and so if you have some input that you'd like to share, please raise your hand and we'll try to get to you. Oh yes, thank you. And identify yourselves, as we are having this recorded and or being shown on the webcast. And so what we'd first of all like to start out with as a very broad question is the question of what questions, issues, or concerns would you like to see the committee and the team of MS&R address in this planning process? Anybody want to be the brave one and step up for the first time and give us your thoughts on that? Mr. Mitchell?
I'll have to wrestle a little bit with how to frame these as questions, because I think they do fit that format. First of all, in what ways will the plan, and I don't necessarily expect you'll have answered these now, but these are questions you need to address. In what way will the plan address what is commonly referred to in the tourism industry around here as the winter slump? That is to say, we have full motels in the summer. We have a slump in the winter, and one of the driving factors in early discussions was if we just had a bigger and better facility of some sort, we could fill in the winter slump. Well, we had one ballot issue that didn't go through, but the question is, in what ways would your proposals deal with that? Second thing, In the context of the survey that was done on the previous event center, one issue that emerged, which was really not very obvious, was the lack of practice space in the city of Mitchell for sports. The Corn Palace is in heavy use. In what ways would your planning address that question? If I can take the liberty of simply making an observation, if you combined the last two options here and simply built a full-size building on the north side of the block, there are some interesting possibilities. You don't have to have an either-or. You might want to consider a both. It would give us more space, a second gym essentially, plus all the other things that you've probably been talking about. Thirdly, if you do, as I sincerely hope you're talking about doing, enhancing the tourism space, in what ways can you build particularly with regard to our ag history? I travel a lot in the summer, and my wife is constantly asking me, what's that crop, what's that thing, what's that thing? And we live here. And I know that there are people who come here who would love to spend some time looking at what's agriculture all about. And in fact, if I were to give you a suggestion, you might want to go to the Chicago Museum of Science, where the last time I visited, they had a fantastic participatory process. What's it like to be a farmer? And I don't think there's anything wrong with copying if it works. Number 4, I just want to reaffirm, but I'll ask you to make sure it's on your agenda. What are you going to do to enhance the child's experience? Mitchell is dramatically deficient in that regard, in my opinion. And as I said, I travel a lot and used to travel with my kids. There is virtually nothing for kids to do. The parents can go to a half a dozen museums and the kids are left out in the cold. What are we going to do to make that, to fix that problem? I think the last one is implicit in my previous comments, and that is, if you address the question of practice space, you may then be able to create a solution to the current problem, which is that concession space prohibits activity in the Corn Palace during the summer. So if you move the concessions out of here, you're either going to have to go to a constrained area or you need more space. And you could do that space in a way that would create extra practice space during the winter when we really need it, and still allow stuff in here in the summer. Those are not always questions, they're sometimes comments, but I just ask you to please address those questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Mr. Ettinger.
Thank you. I'm Wayne Ettinger, live here in Mitchell, and really like Mitchell. And Mitchell's got the Corn Palace, but it's got, we winter in Florida, right near the theme park. And the kids drag the parents into the theme park to see something. One of the things that they like to see is virtual reality. Well, fortunately for us, tomorrow I'm going down to Indiana to see their corn. They've got a corn museum, and they have virtual reality. And the kids get in the combine and plant the corn and harvest the corn. And all we got to do is get the kids in here. We got to have an activity for the kids rather than have their picture taken in the Corn Palace. I'll guarantee it'll be as good as World Drug. We got to get those kids in here, and I'm going to go see tomorrow. And Doug, you can ride along if you want. I'm leaving in the morning for Indianapolis. I've got an appointment with Kathy. She's going to tell us more about. And the nice thing about this project is that the tractor companies and the seed companies will sponsor it for us and get it paid for. And almost bet my wife that it would be a big hit in the Corn Palace. So that's what I want to see, is more local things right here in the Corn Palace. Utilize what we got. And more shows. That's all I got to say.
Well, I appreciate the invite. Next time, if you give me a little more lead time, I might be able to clear it with the boss. All right? Thank you.
Hi, Mel Olson, and I live in Mitchell. I'm also on the city council. I'd like to echo a couple of things that these two fellows have said. I would like our tourism to be deliberate. Right now, I think tourism is accidental. We put some signs on the interstate and they look at the outside and they come in and they look at this, and we do a pretty good job in the summer trying to maintain the floor space and all that kind of thing. But I think Wayne had a great point about something for the kids in terms of an interactive activity. But I guess my question is, where is the video display that explains, especially in the winter, as Dave was talking about, how this place is decorated? Where is the video display that has the interview with Dean Strand, who raises the corn for the building? How do you get all those different colors? Where's the display of all of the different colors that could feed into the agricultural components that these two guys are talking about? It seems to me that when this building was built in 1892, it was built to gull people into coming here and be farmers. That's really the history of the building. And now it's the home court of the Mitchell Colonels and the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers that is accidentally for tourism in the summer. And so I guess I would like to see any proposal kind of reverse that, where we're deliberately for tourism and then we just happen to play basketball in it in the winter. So, thank you.
Very good, yeah. Yeah. Tell them about
Thank you, Councilman.
He used to be a tour guide, too.
Hi, I'm Vonda Geidel. I have jitters half block south of the Corn Palace. And I have to convince one of two people that come in my shop to go into the Corn Palace. You would not believe how many people come into my shop, come look at the Corn Palace, and never come in the building. And I convince them to turn around and go back. We've got to get a way to get them in here. Yeah, you may think we're getting them in, but we're not. I'm also concerned about my building, but that's another time. But really, we've got to come up with a way to get people to come in through the doors, because I see tons of people all summer long that look at the outside, see what we're doing, and that's it. They don't even come in and see what's going on the inside at all. So that, to me, is a big issue that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Vonda. Anyone else have any comments about issues or concerns you'd like to see us address?
Milton Nelson, resident here in the city. Americans are museum nuts. And we've got people have got boxes and boxes and shelves full of paraphernalia and long gone past stuff that's been mementos of the Corn Palace here. I think we should probably move City Hall and put a museum in there, give people a reason to stay for a while. It takes quite a while to go through a museum. And we could stock that museum and they sure want to come here. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Milt. Anyone else? Well, we'll take this opportunity then to move on to the second question.